Hey, so this is the first time I've ever made a video like this. Today I'm going to be talking about my technique, how I slap bass and in turn slap bass fast, and how you can incorporate these techniques into your own playing so that you could slap bass fast. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do things like this, as well as things like this. And as you can see, I'm very comfortable doing stuff like this. I have the muscle memory down, I can hold a conversation, it's not even really a thing. So with a little bit of practice, you should be able to do that too. Let's go! One thing I want to address before we get started is how I physically slap the bass with my thumb. You'll notice that I play like this, which is kind of like this loosey-goosey all wrist motion technique. It's based off of the way that Flea plays. He was one of my earliest influences on bass. But a lot of people also slap bass like this, kind of using their thumb as a pick and slapping through the string. Which is kind of cool when you slap down like that, because you can also slap up. And that technique is called double thumbing. It's not really something I do very much, and it's not what we're going to be talking about in this video. But whether you slap a bass like this, or you slap a bass like this, what I'm showing you now is going to work with both techniques, so I just wanted to get that out of the way before we started. So the key to my slap technique is using 3 different kinds of percussive dead notes and incorporating them in between other notes. So I'm going to show you how to do it. First, you want to deaden the fretboard, using your index finger mainly, but you can use others if you need. You want, as little harmonics to come through. You want them dead AF. And the first one is really simple. You just want to slap the dead note. The second one, also really simple. You just want to pop the dead note. And the third one will take a little bit of practice. That one, you while you have your index finger deadening everything, you use the rest of your fingers to kind of come down on the string, like that. I'll show you in context. So this is the exercise that I used to do when I was learning it. I do it in this order. You can do it in any order, but I'll show you the way I do it. You start with the pop the dead note. Then you do this guy second, with your fingers hitting the dead note just with your left hand, and then you slap the dead note. So all together, does this cool little triplet thing, and just work on it slow, try to articulate and get every motion clear and precise by itself, and then you gradually work the speed up. The speed will come with time, it's not a big deal. And eventually you're getting this super fast machine gun speed kind of slap thing, which is really cool and neat, but on its own it's not terribly musical. So let me show you how to actually make music with this. Alright, so I'm going to show you the 2 things that I did at the beginning of the video. I'll start with the first one. It's this cool little Dorian thing. I'll play it for you at speed once. And I'll play it again for you slower. And I'll break it down into smaller parts so you can kind of see the moving parts a little bit more. So the first thing I did was I slapped the low E twice. Then I slapped the open A. I use these kind of open slap hammer-on things a lot in my technique. It doesn't really matter if the open string is in key. The idea is it's more of a percussive thing, and when you play fast it doesn't really matter, but in this case it happens to be in the key of E. So we do 2 of those, and then slap the open A, hammer on 7th fret on the A string, that's the E again. Then we slap that same note, and then we pop it an octave up, 9th fret on the high G. So, all together. And then we do the little percussive dead note with the slap, and then we do the dead note with the pop. So all together again. And then we slap the 4th fret on the A string, then we slap the 5th fret on the A string, and then we do the dead note slap, dead note pop again. So all together. Cool, simple. So now for the second half of that riff is, the first part's going to be exactly the same as the first part of the first half, so. And then we're going to do exactly what I showed you in that exercise, starting with the pop of the dead note, then the left hand thing, and then the slap of the dead note. But then we're going to pop the 7th fret on the G string and hammer that on to the 9th fret, back to the octave. So. And all together. And you don't necessarily have to end it there. You could do something like this. Or you could slide up. Or you could do this little dead slap, dead pop again to bridge it back into the first one and make it kind of like a loop. Yeah, you see what I mean? It's not necessarily about having to do the exact same thing every time. It's just kind of trying to understand the motion and the rhythm. And once you kind of get that, you can basically do anything with it. So I'm going to show you the second thing that I played at the beginning of this video now. That one's a little bit trickier, even though there's less moving parts. If I were to have a signature lick, that would be it. And yeah, I'm going to show you that. I'll play it again for you. And for the sake of this exercise, we're going to do it in the key of G, so rooted on the 3rd fret of the low E string. We're going to start with slapping the open E. Again, same deal. Doesn't matter if it's in key or not. It's more about the feel. So we're going to slap that. We're going to hammer on to the 3rd fret on the low E string, and then we're going to immediately pop the octave, 5th fret on the D. And then we're going to do all 3 of those percussive things, but in a little bit of a different order. We're going to start with the left hand one, and then we're going to do the slap, and then we're going to do the pop. And all together, it's little groups of 3. It's this cool little triplet thing. So I'm going to play it slow for you. And same deal, gradually speed it up. And like, don't worry if you can't get it right away. Like, the speed comes with time. Just focus on doing the individual motions alone. And if you could do it slow, you could do it fast. So yeah, that's basically how I slap bass. So yeah, you can see what I'm doing. It's really not that difficult when you get into it. Just like any technique, if you can play it slow and clean and articulated, you'll be able to eventually play that fast. Another thing that you might notice is I'm not really playing that many notes. Like, it's more about the feel and the whole, like, percussive energy and the vibe of everything you're doing, rather than it is about running up and down scales. Another thing you'll find as you actually start incorporating this into your playing is that when you're playing with a band, or you're recording this and it's in a mix with a bunch of other instruments, like, a lot of these percussive things, like, they end up getting buried. You can't really hear them anymore at a certain point, and it doesn't make it, like, pointless, because the way you hit and start that mute, it, like, makes the notes decay at all the right times, and it just gives everything this, like, consistent, funky feel to everything, even if some of the percussion gets lost. So, again, it's all about creating a vibe, just getting like this consistent funk and really just getting yourself in the rhythm of playing like that. And I think that's what separates good bassists or musicians in general from like okay ones. It's not necessarily about the notes you play, but it's more about what you do with those notes. So that's going to wrap up my first instructional video. Leave a like, drop a comment, share this with a friend, subscribe to the channel. It all helps the channel out a lot. I've gotten a lot of questions about how I play bass and how I've done a lot of my more popular cover arrangements since I've been doing this. So if you want to see me talk about this kind of stuff more, or break down some of those arrangements, let me know, either in the comments or by email. I've also been trying to put a lot more work into my Instagram and post daily with bass videos, discussions about music, funny memes and stuff. So I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a follow over there. I want to kind of start like a cool little community of just people who are stoked on bass and music in general. Links to my Instagram and my email are in the description and like everywhere all over my channel. Honestly, like don't hesitate at all to reach out. Like I legitimately like talking to you guys, and I try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this video and can incorporate these things into your own playing and create something really cool. So soon you'll be slapping bass clean like a money machine.